All right, so lesson one in the
Yes.
books.
Yes. I think it went very well.
Thank you.
We had a couple challenges with the kids being at the dance,
Yes,
missing a bunch of kids.
and I'll touch upon that in the reflection, so we
Okay.
don't have to some of the things I'll make very explicit when I'm
Okay.
going over and doing my reflection and everything. But
Okay.
yeah, they'll be
Okay.
able to refer to this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How do you think the lesson went?
Once I started to relax, it got a little bit better. I was
Yeah.
kind of a little too worried about kind of what was going on and
Yeah.
just my lack of students in the
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
And you know, so who was the first student that was in here? Is that Brandon? Or who?
That's Johnny.
Johnny.
Johnny, and then Tate was over here.
Yep.
Yeah. So you know Tate.
I know Tate.
And Johnny is new to us this year. He's ninth grade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure this is the right placement for him. Applied, but he's pretty low math wise.
Okay.
As is Eric and Carlos.
And Eric was the one that was sitting right here,
Yes,
correct?
Eric's the one that, and Eric
Okay.
always says that he knows how to do it.
Yeah.
And probably about 85% of the time, he has no idea.
Okay.
But he thinks he knows.
Mhm.
And so he's quick to copy off of somebody else.
Got it.
So he has the right answer, but when I do assessments with him, he has no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So even when Eric tells me, "Oh, I know how to do this. This is easy. I don't want to do this," he doesn't know.
So when I was doing some of those last examples,
Mhm.
I did kind of get the sense that the plans that I had were a little under where, I needed to kind of ramp it up and make it a little bit more
Yeah,
involved.
right. But it's always good to start
Mm-hmm.
with it very, especially with this group, with it very guided, and start low and then ramp up quickly if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
I would continue doing that, and so, but we're missing a couple kids. So then the kids we're missing are going to be lower in this area.
Okay.
So I would maybe revisit the lesson with maybe different examples when we get the other students back.
Yeah.
So we're missing Stephanie and Brandon today,
Mm-hmm.
and Stephanie might get it, but I don't know. And Brandon is going to be confused by a lot of it.
Okay.
Brandon needs a lot of guidance, but he won't say anything. He'll just sit there and say, "No, I understand." And then when you sit with him, he has no idea what to do.
All right.
So, but they're anxious to learn. And at the beginning of the year, like I was telling you, this is something they wanted to work on, was making change and making correct change. So this is something that came from them. That's why when I was sharing with you about the different options, this is something that came up as that they needed to work on. And I know in the Mod Severe class, they work on this continually, and the kids make mistakes constantly. And they go out on CBI, which is out in the community, and they make mistakes. So they just need a lot of reinforcement with this over and over, and maybe doing multiple purchases. So you're buying a bag of chips and a soda and a candy bar. How much do you expect to pay, and then how much change should you get? So maybe give them different scenarios like that, and that might work for them too.
Yeah, I have a pretty good idea of how to kind of change
Okay.
the approach, or how it's, that video wasn't really, after a long week on Friday afternoon, probably should have thought about that a little bit more. I thought it was a good way to kind of introduce some of this stuff.
Yeah, it is.
But then I realized that it was, it was pretty basic, even though it was probably a good place to start.
Right.
It wasn't really the most captivating stuff, and
yeah, but
I could see students kind of
sometimes
being like, I can absolutely do this, but
right.
Maybe that's where I should start with the students who are absent, kind of start them with some of that level, and then have some of the other students try those more difficult problems where you're dealing with larger bills, and maybe you're buying two things and finding change.
Yeah. So what I've done when I had to differentiate in a class, I would start with the video for the some kids, and then have different worksheets for the higher kids with bigger numbers, and show and make them show their work.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they'll just write down an answer, and it may not have anything to do with reality.
Yeah.
So maybe challenge the kids that were here that think they know it with the higher level stuff, and then review it with them. And if they've missed it, then revisit it again with all of the students. So
I'm starting to have a better idea of what differentiation is going to look like in this classroom.
Yeah.
But coming into today, I didn't really have an idea of how that was going to look.
Yeah.
But now I have a better understanding of what it's going to be like.
Yeah. And I know I get frustrated sometimes when they say, "Oh, this is easy. I know how to do this." So that's why I jump in with, much bigger numbers. And then they're like, "Oh, yeah, the answer is this." Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So it's I always have something prepared that's a much higher level to, if they say, "No, this is easy. I can understand this concept. No problem." Always have something a little higher level to offer them. And if they can't answer that one, if they can answer that one, then move on. And I've had a couple lessons where I'm thinking, okay, this will challenge the whole class, and the entire class can do it, like first try. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's come up with something completely different. So I always have a backup.
Yeah.
Almost always have a backup of a different type of lesson to jump into. And I had to do that in the last class because I thought I had something that was challenging, and they had it. And I'm like, okay, so let's see. How about this? And it was something there, it was combining like terms. They were engaged. So, but the one time I didn't have it, so we ended up playing bingo for a really long time. And after 30 minutes, they're like, "Are we still doing this?" Yeah, we got 20 minutes left of class, so yeah, we're still doing bingo. But I learned from that to have other things planned just in case. But I think this lesson went really well.
All right.
Because you had enough variety for them that it kept them engaged the whole time. And the get to know me thing was good. And Carlos was totally engaged. Usually Carlos wants to leave really early to go to catch the bus. Yeah. Carlos was completely engaged the entire time.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I think it went well.
All right. Cool. Do you have any additional things you kind of want to touch on there?
I think the first lesson went really well. You dealt with the changes in the classroom dynamic very well. So I think it went well.
All right. I have some kind of ideas on what kind of needs to happen moving forward. And, yeah, it went. It went well. It did.
Right. It went well.
You insist.
Trust me, it did. It went well. And there's gonna be good days and bad days, and you just gotta learn to roll with it, and don't let the kids know when it's a bad day.
Fair enough.
You just gotta keep going, and okay, so that didn't do well. So, and then
So one question.
Yes.
With Tate, and I know I didn't want to kind of get in his face or anything like that. And he seemed like wasn't really with the lesson at all times, but he had everything in the notebook and everything was done. And I wasn't sure where to
Have a nice weekend, you too.
Thank you. Have a good one, Mr. Harris. I wasn't sure where to kind of whether to just let it be.
With Tate, I would just let it be. He was engaged enough. He was giving answers. We can't keep him. He's a tricky kid who can't. It's difficult to keep him engaged the whole time without him blowing up.
Yeah.
So I think he got the lesson. He was participating, and when you tried to take the notes away and he hadn't finished, he kind of panicked.
Yeah.
But you put the notes back. He was able to finish his notes. Tate, he's good for about 15 minutes on a lesson, and then he checks out himself, but he will re-engage on his own.
I noticed that too.
Yeah, he has adapted very well to that. And as long as you don't, I sometimes give him reminders of, hey, Tate, we're doing this, and he'll get back on track.
Yep.
And if he starts to get frustrated, I say, okay,
just read it.
Take a 5-minute break. You can get on your phone. When you're starting your lesson, he started to get his headphones out to get on his phone. I said, Tate, not your phone today. He's like, okay, I'm sorry. And he put the phone down, put the headphones down.
Yeah.
So he can be redirected as long as we're respectful. And
for sure.
But I think he's getting something out of the lessons. He's just getting it in his own way. So I think you handled him very well.
Awesome.
He didn't have a meltdown, so it's a good day.
None of us did. So
no one cried, so it's a good day.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.